Thanks for handing me this tea, anonymous, unnamed person. I have this friend called Luke who's obsessed with predicting things, like obsessed. Every single election, hey Michael, how many votes do you think the parties are gonna get? We can compare results. Every Oscars, hey Michael, let me know what films you think are gonna win in each category. Every World Cup, hey Michael, let's each pick a team and we'll see whose team goes further. The World Cup one really bothers me because while I don't really care about the Oscars or who's running the country, football is serious business. I've often said that the real test for whether you're a pessimist or an optimist isn't whether the glass is half full or half empty. The real answer is it depends whether you're in the process of filling it up or emptying it, by the way. Here's the real test. Imagine that you placed a bet against your favourite team winning some sporting competition. Do you think, wow, this is great because now either way I win? Or do you think, this sucks, now I won't be happy no matter what. Either I'm losing money or my favourite team's losing the match. I'm decidedly in the latter camp. I want to be fully on board with the outcome I want to happen, not hedging my bets, getting myself into a lose-lose situation. Now, fortunately, Luke doesn't expect me to pony up any dough when you make these predictions, but he does expect me to be somewhat invested emotionally. But the thing is, if I'm at all invested in the outcome I predicted being right, that is now distracting from the outcome I want to happen. So the only solution for me is to make the prediction and then not care about it at all. Which makes it utterly pointless when Luke then goes through the results with me to explain who had the more accurate prediction when I don't care. I've told him all this before. Hey Luke, just so you know, I really do not care about these prediction competitions you make me do because I only care about the outcome I want to happen, not whether what I've predicted is going to happen actually is right. But he's dismissed this by saying, well, you don't need to care about the predictions. It doesn't really matter. It's all just for fun. How is that not a contradiction? It doesn't matter. It's just for fun. If something doesn't matter to you, how can it possibly be fun? Like you're about to get on a roller coaster, you're like, oh man, going on this roller coaster is going to be so fun, I'm so excited. And then you find out it's shut down for repairs and you're like, that's okay. Going on that roller coaster didn't matter to me at all anyway. How can you be enjoying things you don't care about? Having a really fun time watching a movie you're not invested in at all? It makes no sense. Now you might be thinking, well, at least you can enjoy yourself when the outcome you're expecting, that you've predicted, and the outcome that you want actually do line up. But the problem is that rarely happens because I, like many people, have a tendency to support the underdog. One of my favourite football matches ever was Iran vs Argentina in 2014, where Argentina were the way better team and they really should have won. But Iran did such a fantastic job defending and stopping any goals being scored throughout the entire match except for one goal that they let in right at the end and they lost. The emotional highs and lows of that match were incredible. More insane, of course, was Argentina versus Saudi Arabia. There, Saudi Arabia went one down and then they came back after half time and immediately scored 2 goals and ended up winning the match, which was insane. You probably didn't even need me to tell you that Argentina is one of the best national teams of all time, while the Middle East isn't really well known for their footballing nations. I like watching the team that has very little chance of winning pulling off a surprise victory, which, as you can imagine, creates a massive problem for the idea of some kind of prediction competition. For the 2024 Euros, I ended up really annoying Luke by literally picking the very worst teams in the competition. When he realized what I was doing, I was like, oh, come on, don't do that. Actually predict teams that you think have a chance of winning. Otherwise, there's no point. But again, I've told him before that from my perspective, there's no point picking the team that has the best chance of winning and then going into the match actively wanting the result that I didn't predict to happen. What's the point in that? I do just want to take a brief detour to talk about gambling, because I have some philosophies about gambling. First of all, getting addicted to gambling is hilarious. Like, what are you doing with your life at that point? Literally enjoying the sensation of losing money. Get a grip. My attitude towards gambling is that it is spending, i.e. losing money, to do something fun, the same way you might spend money on anything else. So when I play poker with real money at stake, I'm paying money to play a fun game, to have a fun experience, with the additional bonus that I may win some of that money back, or indeed more money than I started with. That's just a bonus. If I play roulette, I'm paying money for the excitement of potentially winning more money on what's essentially just a coin flip. I heard someone talking about gambling addiction, and he said that people kid themselves into thinking that they're gambling in order to win money, when of course, statistically speaking, you are far more likely to lose money because that's how casinos stay in business. And I just thought, I would never gamble with the goal of winning. The moment I put any money down on a bet, that money is dead for me. I'm gambling for the excitement of finding out whether I'm going to win. But significantly, the gambling that makes sense for me is either something like poker, where the primary variable is my skill in the game, or something like roulette, or I guess the game I refuse to play, which is literally called craps. Why would I play a game named after human poo? Now, in those games, it's a coin flip. It's a dice roll. It's entirely down to chance. And what I enjoy about that is you're not predicting, you're just guessing. And when you guess, there is actually some enjoyment in finding out whether your guess happened to be correct. What I don't understand is people who gamble on stuff like sporting events, where they're mostly thinking in terms of what they believe is the most likely outcome. Because how are you claiming to have a better ability to predict the result than the bookies whose entire job is working out what the odds should be? If I've got a gambling website in front of me and I'm trying to pick who is the most likely to win a football match, what possible reason could I have for picking someone other than the odds-on winner according to the website? And since I know that whatever return they're offering is going to be lower than it should be, so the gambling company can stay in business, why would I choose to just throw money away? When my friend Luke does the Oscar pool, it's always so pointless to me because there are movie journalists who've already written their predictions of who's going to win. So there's really only two approaches here. Either I go with exactly what the experts have said, in which case if I'm wrong, who cares because it wasn't really my prediction in the first place, or I go against what they say, in which case who cares if I'm wrong? Why would I even have thought I'd be more likely to be correct than these industry insiders? That's the broad issue of this whole concept of predicting things. Either you do it based on some external reasoning, in which case it's not in any meaningful sense actually your prediction. Like if I say that whoever won the Golden Globe for a particular category is likely to win the Oscar for that same category, I'm not really making a prediction. I'm just saying, well, they already decided in this other competition, so I'm going to assume that just follows on into this. But if I don't do it based on any sort of external reasoning, I'm just doing it based on vibes, in which case, what's the point of that? I might as well just be playing roulette. Now, all of this talk of movies brings me to my number one issue of predictions, which is when you're trying to predict what happens in a piece of media. Honestly, maybe this sounds crazy, but I actually like to be surprised by what I'm watching. I enjoy seeing the twists and turns unfold, which is kind of hindered if I'm constantly trying to second guess where the story's going. This is the story of how my friend Luke ruined Twin Peaks. He was like, "Hey Michael, have you seen Twin Peaks? Do you know who killed Laura Palmer?" And I was like, "No," unaware of the new depths of boredom I was inviting into my life. Because then he said, in that case, we should watch Twin Peaks, and after each episode, we should make a prediction about who we think the killer is. And I was like, that sounds really boring. Okay. So I watched Twin Peaks and I really didn't enjoy it at all. I wasn't invested in who killed Laura Palmer and I didn't find the mystery particularly deep. I did like other aspects of Twin Peaks. The ambience, the crazy characters, the zany comedy was all very appealing to me, but I just didn't like this focus on the question of who was the killer. The thing about a simplistic mystery is it can only ever have a simplistic answer. The whole time I was watching, knowing that the answer to the question of who killed Laura Palmer could ultimately only ever be nothing more sophisticated than somebody killed her. And then you find out who killed her, and the answer is somebody, one of the characters in the show, killed her, and you're like, okay, cool. And I just don't see how that qualifies as an interesting story. Anyone can leave a question unanswered at the beginning of a piece of media and then just tell you the answer at the end of it, but who cares? What do you get out of that? It doesn't seem any more interesting to me than reading Wikipedia. It's just an answer to a question. The good news is, after we find out who killed Laura Palmer, there's still another half of a season to go, and I honestly enjoyed the second half of the second season way more than the first season and a half, because there wasn't this tedious mystery hanging over everything. Anyway, what I was really surprised to find out after I'd finished the show was it turns out David Lynch completely agrees with me. He didn't want to reveal who who killed Laura Palmer because he didn't think the answer to that question was really the point of the show. So it was really transcendent to be watching a TV show frustrated by somebody else's insistence that I engage with a mystery that I didn't really care about, only to find out that very same dynamic was going on behind the scenes between David Lynch and the network executives. Imagine my shock, by the way, when I find out later on that Luke already knew that David Lynch didn't care about the mystery, but he still didn't see the issue with making us watch the show with the primary consideration in mind being something that the author, the creator of the show himself, didn't actually care about. So that's why I'm mad most of the time, because I have a friend who thinks the most interesting, exciting thing in the world is something that I find unimaginably boring. Every available opportunity will try to come up with some way of turning something in my life into a prediction competition. And I hate it. And I'm in the habit now of telling him this every single time, that these prediction competitions just don't interest me. But he can't get his head around why I don't see the point in doing something that is to me completely boring. And now, time to make this video automatically very interesting. It was my wife, Hannah, who brought me my tea at the beginning of this recording session. Did you predict that? Did you see that coming? Is the fact that I've now told you the answer really exciting? No? See? Okay, I was not ready. I wasn't ready.
I
Okay.
am.
Yeah, do it again. Okay.